Welcome to Thriving Tribesmen. My name is Kuri, your host, and I'm excited to be making this episode. Today is day 5. Very excited to be making this one. One of the things that I want you to do, you guys, is that go to Thriving_Tribesmen and tell me, if this has been helpful and if it's something that you want to hear. In fact, we were focused solely on attraction. Would you like me to do a seduction version? So from day 1 to day 5, what does seduction look like, and how would I move around in order to, how do I transition from attraction into seduction, for example, and then how do I do that on a daily basis? So I'm keeping that sexual tension pretty high. So let me know, just let me know if you've got any questions around some of the stuff we talked about. If you also have something else in mind, so for example, like boundary setting, maybe establishing dominance in your relationship. So how would I do it in a 5-day period? And, there's certain things that you'll be able to do. So how do I have that conversation where it's not it doesn't lead to an argument, but actually leads to a place where you're in collaboration? So how do I set that up over a 5-day period, for example, or how do I set that up in a few days so that when you do have that interaction, it's collaborative? So, and again, just as a side note, the secret to having that conversation is pre-framing, so that before you have the conversation, she already sees that as though it's a win to have the conversation, and therefore that conversation becomes a lot easier to have. So this is why it's powerful. So if that's something that you want to hear, then just let me know. Go to Thriving_Tribesmen and then just say tell me exactly what you want to hear, and I'll be making content that way. I might also send you a free training if you come over there. So I'll be able to send you the ultimate attraction into seduction playbook. So it takes you through what exactly you need to be doing to change your sexless relationship. So it gives you 3 pointers that you can implement today. So very excited about that. Moving forward so today I had an interaction with my wife, and one of the things that has been an important part of changing our relationship, or at least for our relationship to be very good, is that she has evolved over a period of time and matured emotionally. So whenever she's having a very difficult period in our lives, or in her life, or with work and so on, which in this case, yesterday she was speaking to her boss, and the interaction didn't go really well, or didn't go the way she wanted to go. So, and again, it just put her off a little bit. So she was a little bit affected by it, and there was a bit of that where the way she was behaving within our interaction this morning, you could see that there was some lingering effects from that conversation. So the environment was a little bit tense. So, it's one of those where you could potentially say something and then she's like, she falls apart. So it was, most people in these scenarios will sort of walk on eggshells. Like, I'm really trying not to, cause any problems here. And, so things were, I recognized what was going on. I had a few things that I wanted to do before I went to sleep. So in this case, I was doing what I needed to do. We talked about logistics, and then we talked about what was going to happen on the weekend. And it was pretty much on a neutral state. But obviously, because she's on this downer, she's thinking, in most cases, and this is typical, where if you're in a neutral state, she needs to outlet anger. So she will say something in order to trigger you from getting angry, so then she can lash out at you. Now, it's not everybody, but naturally, you're the easiest target for them to lash out to lash out at you in order to get rid of this tension, because they're feeling this tension, and then they don't know how to get rid of it. And the order to get rid of it, they're most likely going to say something that is quite disrespectful, or quite demeaning, or quite rude. Whatever it is, it's going to cause you to react. And by that reaction, then she's justified to get angry at you. So she lashes out at you. So I knew that the dynamic was sort of heading that direction, because I knew what was happening. It made me even more relaxed. And that relaxation was amping up the mood, made it even more tense. And I was thinking of a quote at that time when this whole was unfolding. I was thinking of a quote where this little kid walks up to a teacher, or I think it looks like a high school in America, and he says, "What's the quote of the day?" And the teacher goes on to say that the same water that boils and hardens an egg is the same water that will soften a potato. And it says, don't let the environment dictate you. You dictate the environment. And I thought to myself, that is very powerful. And within a sexless relationship, a lot of you guys allow the environment to dictate how you behave. So a lot of you guys will go mostly submissive, or you go to a place where you supplicate. Submissive as in, I'm really not going to try and deal with you, so therefore I'm going to avoid you, which is, I'm running away. I'm going to submit to anything that you say. So if she becomes bullyish, you just sort of, I'm going to go with whatever you say. And again, supplicating would be what I was saying, that where you sort of run away and don't deal with it, which is again not very good look, especially from if you're in a sexless relationship. So in this case, I was pretty chilled, and the fact that I realized that there was a potential of things going sideways, and then her trying to use that as a way of outletting whatever anxiety that she had or whatever stress that she had. She was looking for a target to then, really lash out, and then she will feel good about herself, because it's more about controlling emotions. That I really don't have any control of my emotions. If I can control you, then I will have a sense of control. So this is why this dynamic happens. So I knew that was what was happening, or at least about to happen. So by me not reacting to any of the bait for me to bite, I didn't. It made it so much easier then to interact, because she didn't realize that, okay, if I continue down this path, I'm going to have to leave the house, and I'm pretty much going to be full of anxiety, stress, and so on. So she did the right thing, which was to completely let go and just say, you know what, I didn't like what happened yesterday. Like, it does really suck. And then we just sort of talk through it. But it wasn't even me trying to change her state. I wasn't even trying to justify or, to help her think through the thing. I was just listening and just saying, that's, she was like, it made me feel upset. And I was like, I can see why you're upset by the whole thing. I would be upset too. Now, if you notice, I'm not trying to fix it and say, this is what's going to happen. It's going to get better. It's going to be, I'm just trying to say, I get it. The whole thinking about a positive mindset and her thinking a positive outcome, it's on her. And if she cannot do it for herself, if I do it for her, she will never learn how to do it. So I think this is why it's really important then that we call it embracing friction. And again, this is why it's so much more powerful when you can embrace friction within a relationship. So in terms of the likelihood of us having sex on tomorrow is probably 95%. Because that could have derailed that for sure. It could have derailed that if I responded in a needy way. If I responded in a way that I didn't show up as a leader, all of that would have derailed everything. But I think in terms of the interaction, what would I give myself? Probably a 9 out of 10. I think I'm being too kind, but 9 out of 10. And that interaction pushes us forward to where we need to go. Now, does that mean when I said 95%, there's a potential that it might not happen, because I've got plans to go to jiu-jitsu. So again, it's still me sexually disqualifying, but again, that could potentially change. So I'm still giving out the hints that I'm open for being seduced. So it's now just up to her to bite it. I'm just giving her that invitation that it's going to, if you want to, I can be convinced to have sex with her. So again, hopefully that is something that you've picked up a lot of nuggets out of this interaction, at least this conversation, out of this episode. But also picked up a few things from the interactions that I had, so that way you can see how you can navigate your interactions within your relationship, so that you can end up winning. So thank you very much, guys. I'll be seeing you guys soon. Take care.